applause, I would like for us all to welcome Ballantyne and Katie Griffin.
Katie run because I knew that she would run if I did it, and she did.
I totally did. And I have tall shoes on. Thanks. Hi guys, thanks for coming.
How are you two today? How are you feeling?
Awesome. Really good, thanks.
Come on, we're in Florida. We're from Canada.
We went swimming this morning. We were very excited.
Do you not normally get to swim up there in Canada? Is it too cold?
It's actually super hot normally at this time of year, but for some strange reason, we never got out of the spring, and it's been raining a lot.
Yeah,
There's a lot of rain in Toronto.
So we're happy to be here. And then this weekend in Toronto, it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful sun. And then they said that it was supposed to be thunder and lightning here, and we're like,
And then of course it didn't, so this morning we were like,
we made the sun happen. Moon, Mars, sun. Boom.
yes, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
So we can actually open it up to questions. We've got the microphone right there in the center. It's in all of its droopy goodness.
Stop pushing each other out of the way. It's okay, everybody will be...
This is your chance to ask the questions you have. Fortune favors the bold. You will leave here and you'll say, oh, I can't believe I didn't ask that question.
Yes, you
so
are.
stupid. Oh, I've always wanted to know.
Nice to see you. Again.
Testing.
1, 2, 3, go.
So my question is, during the 90s, having Sailor Moon on your resume, it was easy to look for jobs for auditioning other careers? Or
That's the best question. We do these all the time. No one ever asked that.
It's funny you would say that because not really. I don't think anybody was overly impressed by us, really. Now, nobody ever is, it seems.
We didn't actually know how big Sailor Moon was when we were doing the show. And even though we did a lot of episodes, we had no idea. Yeah, there were a lot of episodes. It was really fun to work all the time. But as far as resumes and everything, to be quite honest, it's called dubbing. So in Toronto, or actually anywhere, it really wasn't a big deal for a resume.
No, but what's funny now, I go into a recording, and everybody that's, the producers or whatever that's doing the commercial or the thing, they're like, Sailor Moon. And then at the end, like, would you mind signing this script? And I'm like, yes!
Or sometimes if we're together, and I can sense it, I know. And we'll say, oh, we were just in a cartoon. You won't even know what it was. It's actually anime. It's Sailor Moon. And then you can just see.
Sailor Moon.
Stop.
That's why
I feel like I have Sailor Moon like spy sense. It's like sailor sense. I'm like,
Her Sailor Moon spy sense is anybody who's basically 28 years old. She's like, I bet you they like Sailor Moon.
my odds are good.
Yeah, if you picked like a 68-year-old one, I bet you that guy over there likes Sailor Moon, and he said, I do, then I'd be impressed with you.
Okay, whatever. It's on.
Okay, you're on.
It's on.
If you could choose any character in the whole series, what character would you play as?
Sailor Mars. No, that's a good question.
No, that's right.
I feel like I played the exact right part, but
If you couldn't play Sailor Moon,
Okay,
so we're going to
Zoe.
take that off the table right now.
Zoe said she was bad. She was pretty bad, and that's fun. Bad guys are fun to play.
I would be Tuxedo Mask. And I would show up on time. I'd be like, hi, I'm here to save you. Hey, meatballhead, I'm here to save you. And she'd say, but I haven't even started fighting you. But I haven't even started fighting you. That's okay, ma'am. I'll help you anyways.
And then I'd say, why are you dressed like that? Why are you so fancy?
Thank you for coming. What's the hardest part, in your opinion, to be a voice actress? Or
It's a good question. I think getting sick. I know it sounds crazy, but if you have a job like years ago, I was Max and Ruby. I was Ruby. Or like Totally Spies, Alex has a really high voice, so she's always talking up here, and then if you get sick, you get a cold, you're kind of messed up, and you're messing up a lot of people, because then there's a huge cast of, well, not huge, but there's a cast of people that have to, so when you get a cold, you sound all scratchy, and that's the hardest part, really is.
You lose your voice a lot. So in a show like Sailor Moon, we were screaming for half the episodes. Like, and you're not just sort of like, you're like, you gotta throw your entire body into the entire thing. You literally do. And for me, they put a bar in front of where I was, so I wouldn't hit the microphone, because my arms were flailing around so much. So you're getting exhausted. Like, I think when I was doing Sailor Moon, my body must have been totally ripped.
Yeah, we were all in really good shape.
Because I was just like, and when you do this, like, you're like literally acting with your entire body, and it's really tiring.
And it had nothing to do with the fact that we were in our early 20s.
No.
Nothing.
But and then I'd go home and I'd be like, I'm so tired. And my family would be like, oh yeah, but you have to talk into a microphone today? It's a lot harder than you think, you know. Whatever. Families are cruel. Anthony, see the way I just do that? I remember your name just like that. I'm not forgetting it again, Anthony.
I remembered Anthony. Oh no, I didn't. You told me, but now I'm wow.
Well, first of all, great. Welcome back to Tampa Bay.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Much better weather than up in Canada, right?
Go Leafs, go!
Go Jays, go Jays.
Okay, how's everything else going on today? How's the rest? Have you met the rest of the voice actors that did doing the Sailor Moon series, like Susan Roman? How's she doing?
Well, Susan Roman lives right around the corner from me. Literally. So I just walk down my street, I go around the corner, and she's always in her garden. Susan's a crazy person when it comes to gardening. She is like a gardener, like you can't understand how good she is at gardening. She was actually, her garden was in Better Homes and Garden magazine. It's so beautiful. But actually this is kind of a funny story, when she was doing the Better Homes and Garden magazine, she has roses in her garden and it's just phenomenal. She's like, just wait. I have to wait till the roses are open before you come and take all the pictures. So they're like, okay. And it just happened to be a really cold summer and the roses were just like this. They wouldn't open. She's like, you have to open. And every day she'd go outside and go, open roses, open. And you do hear her talking to her plants a lot, actually. So this wouldn't happen. And finally, she puts them off for a couple of weeks. And they're like, we have to get this photo shoot done because you're going to be in the magazine. We've got to get it done. So she took a hairdryer to each individual rosebud. And before she did, she said, I'm very sorry I have to do this. I hope you'll be okay. And she puts this hot hairdryer to it, and the roses went. And she said it was the most amazing thing. Every rose in her garden was perfect and open, and the next day they just went, okay. And they just closed back up. She's like, thank you for being there for me. She's crazy. She's crazy.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I can see her doing that.
I know she is a little bit of a... But we do see people around, we see the other scouts and stuff, because most of them live in Toronto. So I was driving down the road one day, and on a bike right beside me was Mercury, Sailor Mercury.
She actually works right behind my house, and I didn't even know that until all of a sudden I saw her on her bike. And I went, Karen? Because Sailor Mercury is really hard to get out, and she's a bit shy, and she also doesn't want to do these things, and she's super busy. But I did, Karen, what are you doing here? And she actually works 4 seconds from my house, so yeah, it's funny.
And I'm in my car driving, and she's on a bike.
Show us how
I'm driving. Watch me whip it. Now watch me take it. Yeah, I can.
She does
And I see her on her bike, and I get right up beside her, I go, on my horse, she's like,
Yeah.
Linda! Oh, hi!
She could have killed Sailor Mercury.
I could have
so
killed her.
bad.
I didn't kill her. I could have.
Could have.
It wasn't hers.
Hi. Can you do your best impression of the Sailor Scouts?
Of our own particular character?
No, each one.
Oh, you want me to do her?
Yeah.
I'm Sandy Nice, and I'm like, don't get what you're wearing right now.
Okay, I'll do Sailor Moon. Thanks. Oh my god, that'll be on the internet. I know. We're also, and my 10-year-old will find it, because he finds everything. Everything Star Wars, all the Easter eggs, he'll find this one, he'll say, don't do that.
God, you're so embarrassing.
Your friends, you know.
Look at the meatballs I'm seeing before me. Nice meatballs in the hair.
Hi.
I like the Sailor Scouts, and all of them are my favorite Sailor Scouts.
And I bet Sailor Moon is even more so your favorite, isn't she?
I think Sailor Mars is her favorite. I think she really is saying Sailor Moon, but she's a little confused.
So you like Sailor Moon, the show?
Yeah.
Yes! Yay!
One time, me and my mama watched Sailor Moon.
You got the best mom in the world.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
I feel like you should watch another one. Another Sailor Moon episode. Be good. Perfect! Yay, thank you for your question.
Hearts are thoroughly melted.
She said exactly what she needed to say.
That's all she needed to say.
Except she should have said Sailor Moon.
Hey, you look fantastic. How long did that take?
You get lost.
30 minutes seems
a while.
pretty good.
I mean, I used to do turtle costumes. And they take a lot longer because you have to shoot everything.
Yeah.
And cheated and not.
Oh, stop that.
That's like our tan lines, actually.
Well, welcome to Florida. I was just wondering how you guys feel about the new generation of Sailor Scouts, like the Sailor Moon Crystal generation, and also the new generation of bands and the whole impact that Sailor Moon has had on political feminism and things like that.
Okay, wow, that's a loaded one.
It's a loaded one. First of all, to the first part, I'm really happy that they came back and started doing this. The fans have waited a really long time. And just to add to this for the last part of it, of course they have to keep it real. That was why it ended in the first place, because there was so much ridiculous censorship that didn't need to happen. But it was the early 90s, so I guess whatever. So now they're getting it right. That's my opinion. I feel like, of course, they gotta come back and tell the real story.
Yeah, I think they're doing a great job. It's totally different, but of course it's going to be, because it's different actors and everything, and they're trying to hold true a little bit more to the manga, which is kind of nice. So I go, and you know what else? We're not going anywhere. The original is always there, so we're like, yeah, more for the fans.
Hello.
Hello. This may not relate to the TV show. What are your personal favorites?
Favorite foods?
Favorite.
I'll tell you, it's not shrimp right now. Yeah, you know, I got it for dinner last night, and let's just say the shrimp was not as good as they said it was going to be.
It's okay. We're okay now. We're
Kept
okay.
us awake at night, let's just say.
Yeah, bacon's good. Yeah.
I love sushi. I could eat my weight in sushi every day.
And I'm a pizza girl, so I could have pizza. Yeah. Go pizza. Good. We have a throwdown. Sushi
And a steak. I'm a steak girl too.
Yeah.
Give me a big rare
I
steak.
know this is gonna sound silly because of the meatballs and everything, but I do like spaghetti and meatballs.
She does. We'll go to a restaurant, just meatballs on the menu. She's like, meatballs. I'm like, who gets meatballs?
I get meatballs.
Let's get meatballs.
Yeah. It's a good question. I like these questions because they're different. They're curveballs. Yeah, curveballs.
What is the hardest emotion to voice act?
Well, that's a good question too.
I know this is going to shock you, but I think laughing is harder than like emotional things because to make it sound real, you're tensing everything, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like it'll sound like a cackle. It has to sound believable. So
I don't mind laughing so much. That's funny. And I think it's because my grandfather used to do that. He would also just start to laugh. Like he'd be like this, and he'd go, and we'd be like, don't, Grandpa, don't. And then he'd just go hysterically laughing until we all had tears running down our faces, and then he'd just stop.
I feel like he did that on purpose.
Okay, what is the hardest for me? What is the hardest emotion? You know what? I think for me, probably more tenderness. I know, that sounds stupid, doesn't it?
No, I
that sort of love and gentleness, because they're always like, can you be a little nicer? And I'm like, this is the face they get, what? I was. Can you smile? I am. I don't know.
Hello.
Hello.
You said you were the voice for Ruby on Max and Ruby.
Yeah.
My 12-year-old grew up on Max and Ruby.
Nice.
And my question is, do you think the grandma on there let Max get away with too much crap? Because you were always like, oh, Max, and she was like, it's okay, give him a cookie.
Yes, Max. No, Max. I feel like, here's my honest opinion on this, and I have kids, I have 2 boys. My only problem with this is that Ruby was so bossy all the time. Now, that's probably because there were no parents. So, where are the parents?
She does have parents now, though.
Oh, see, I only did season 1. She said, see,
I was Candy in Max and Ruby, so I was a candy store girl. And my favorite thing always was whenever I saw them, it would always be, the line was supposed to be, hello, Max, hello, Ruby. And I would always go, hello, Max, Ruby. Every time they go, okay, Linda, thank goodness we got that out of the way. Can you do it properly now? But she was always a little evil Ruby, man.
see, I think, so when I did it, and also it was, it was a stressful kind of situation. They didn't want, anyways, a whole lot of things. But Ruby was always so bossy, so my whole script would be, no, Max, like always kind of shutting him down, and I just thought, oh, poor kid. But I also have a 6-year-old and a 10-year-old, and I watched my 10-year-old doing that to Wyatt, and I'm like, no, be nicer. So
Don't be Ruby. Don't be Ruby.
Let him play.
I just thought that grandma always was like, Max would tear up the whole house, and then grandma was been, here, have a cookie.
Well, funny true story. My parents, my mom has blonde hair, and she looks just like me, but my sister and I look the same, and then we call her Blondie. So whenever the kids go to Blondie's house, my mother always jokes saying, there are no rules. And they wake up and they have cupcakes for breakfast, and then they come home and they're all crazy because they've had sugar all day.
That's what grandmothers are like. Incidentally, the woman who is the grandmother in it is in her 90s, and she's still doing it. They just pick her up, and she's like, I can't believe I'm still doing this. She's the sweetest thing on the planet.
Remember?
Katie.
Yeah, that's right. Hi.
Hi. I was wondering, how do you feel about the initial relationship between Tuxedo Mask and Sailor Moon?
So how do I feel? How did Raye feel? Well, she was very confused by it. It shouldn't have happened, but I have to be honest, we didn't get the scripts ahead of time. I thought Mars, even though it was called Sailor Moon, I thought she was going to get Darian. I thought, no, it's fine. Have your little romance. It's fine. He's coming back. But then Chad came onto the scene. So initially when I would do it, because I had no context of the series, I was like, oh, that's fine, it's fine. But then Chad came onto the scene, and I'm a goofball in real life. I'm like, no, it should be Chad. It's fine. So that's my reaction.
I knew she was going to get them all along.
We're back. What? Another one?
What's your favorite Sailor Scout?
Sailor Moon.
Sailor Mars.
Okay, if we couldn't pick our own, let's say that. If we couldn't pick our own Sailor Scouts, who would you pick, Katie?
I'm pretty close to Linda in real life, but I picked Jupiter. Damn it.
Comic Con.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question for you. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is pink.
It's a good color. So
Mine is orange.
Orange, yeah, I like green, which is why I said that, because you're wearing green. So. Plus, genius is in green.
Incidentally, my favorite Sailor Scout, it varies, but I would actually pick Mars.
Thank you.
Don't tell her, it goes right to her
Don't
head.
tell her at all. As if she didn't know.
That's just today, though.
Hi, thank you for coming. I was dragged to this convention by my friend. I was dragged to this panel by my friends, and I've never watched Sailor Moon before. Can you give me a reason why I should?
Could somebody please have this woman removed?
What is wrong with you, child? It's not computing. My brain's rejecting this.
This is like an episodic show where there's 5 strong females. They're not all the same. They all have their distinct own personalities. There's something for everyone. Everybody could identify with one of the scouts who goes, that's who I am. That's who I want my best friend to be. It was awesome. And they had each other's backs, but they also weren't afraid to say, you're an idiot. What are you doing?
Yeah, it is. It's totally worth it just from exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Exactly what she said.
Yeah, you'll see. You're going to thank us.
And you're going to have a favorite. And then you're going to find us and you're going to say,
I can't believe I talked to him in person. Oh my God.
or not.
Or they try. Maybe she'll try.
We'll give it a good shot.
What's your favorite line as your character, and can you say it in your character's voice?
I think I have too much juice.
That's a good one. I remember because when they were getting all tough, I would warm up to this, so this is why I remember it. I'm Sailor Mars, and I will right wrongs and triumph over evil. So I would warm up to it, so I remember my voice doing that, so it sticks with you.
So my favorite line was, I was hungover, and hers was, I'm going to save you.
Yeah. Or, no, wait, I have another one too. Serena, you're such a meatball head.
Why are you calling a meatball head?
What are you talking about? You're crazy. Why do you do this every single time? You can't believe it.
I literally spit all over Ari.
It's a tattoo. It's a Sailor Mars tattoo.
Ew.
Gross.
Ew.
Am I on?
You're on, baby. Oh, Anthony, you are on.
Alright, what are you up to today besides, visiting like other conventions? Like, what do you got any shows right now? I know you're doing Clyde with a Chance of Meatballs.
Sam Sparks here.
Sam Sparks, have you
What
watched?
are you doing?
What are you doing? What are you looking at? Let's see, I'm doing one that's called... hang on.
I know what it's called. I know, I know, because I know what it's
Terrible. What's wrong with
They're
it?
adorable.
Yeah.
The band.
Oh, well, that was Zuzu Pets. I forgot it's Zuzu Pets. But there's another...
You're doing something.
There's a flying... Oh my God.
Mysticons? I'm in Mysticons.
There's flying... They're
No.
little spaceships. I can't remember what it's called. I got George of the Jungle on right now, too. I was Magnolia and George of the Jungle. And also, Cyber Chase, I think, is doing another... No, it's not true.
What's it? I know it's the same thing.
Is it like Jets? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good show. Yes.
No, but
Yeah.
when you said that, that's what
She
she said.
says Cat. Like plus Cat on that too. She's doing tons of stuff. Is that tons? Yeah, she is. Just go. Say it. Say it.
No.
Say it. What are you in?
Oh, well, if you're watching Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the series right now, I do play Sam Sparks. So that's on. Mysticons is coming out in August. Atomic Puppet, I think that might be just in Canada. I don't know. What else? I don't even know. Totally Spies is over, so I know. It should be over. Okay, that's the rumor. Yes, we all are gonna now tweet that. My favorite building?
CN Tower.
It's CN Tower, Toronto. I feel like this is fun. I love game show questions. Favorite building? That's a good question though.
Can you voice act your favorite scene between Raye and Serena?
I feel like we did.
I feel like we just did it, man.
I feel like every time there was a... Serena, I've been waiting here forever. You're just here. You're always eating. Tuxedo, you're eating too. You got ice cream all over your face. Serena, oh, such a evil head. Thanks. That wasn't an actual scene. It was just sort of it seemed to go that way all the time. Oh, hello.
So, was it hard, at the beginning, voice acting together? Or was it just
You mean in this show?
Yeah.
Well, the problem with this show, not the problem, the thing about this show, and most shows, is you do it all by yourself. So you go into the booth with the microphone, the headphones, and no one else is with you. And because this was a dubbing one, they had the whole picture up in front of us. We got to watch the show. We never got scripts because they wanted apparently to keep it fresh, so that we wouldn't necessarily know what was going on. But it's like, how are we supposed to know what we're supposed to be saying? So it was like doing karaoke to a song you don't know. The words would come by and you wouldn't necessarily know why you were saying them, because you might have had the first line of the show, and then they fast forward 10 minutes into the show because your character's not in the show for 10 minutes, and suddenly the next line is, what are you doing? And you might be like, what are you doing? Or you might be like, what are you doing? kind of going, okay, here it comes, what's it gonna be? Oh, it wasn't what I thought it was gonna be.
And for Sailor Moon and, Sailor Mars, that was my Canadian story. Sailor Mars and Sailor Jupiter, we weren't always in all the episodes, so every once in a while we would record together, but we could record like 3 episodes in one day, and there was no context. So we had until I actually watched the series years later, I had no idea what was gonna happen. Well, I kinda knew. I did know, a little bit.
And then when it got to the end of like S series, I had a lot of lines in that one, so at the end, everybody's dying around me, the world is falling apart and everything, and I'm doing my lines and everything, and I'm watching it for the first time and going, no, like I'm doing the words going, no. And then I sit there watching, right? And then they'd say, yeah, spoiler alert, and then they'd say, Linda, that was your line. And I go, oh, sorry. Sorry, that's Canadian.
We're not gonna say any sorries, we're gonna just say sorry. Just to Canadianize us.
Hi. Building on the last question, with voice acting, is there any given time frame from when you first get the script to when you first to recording part?
Depends what you're working on. If we do advertisements for any kind of radio stuff, you never get the scripts ahead of time. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs or any of the series stuff, we usually get the scripts well in advance so you can read it and see what's happening. But yeah, Sailor Moon was different because we didn't get the scripts. But generally speaking, if it's a series, we know what's happening.
And so when you get the script, you can sort of look at it, and if there's lines that sort of seem like, the character wouldn't really necessarily say it like that, well, we'll put notes in there like, okay, I'm going to change this line to whatever I think it should be, and then when you get in the booth, it's sort of like, can I change this line? And they'll often go, no, stop trying to write the script, Linda. But sometimes they say, yes, that's better, much better.
This is totally to digress from everything you just said, but if anybody watches Dark Matter, it's on Sci-Fi Channel tonight at 9, and I'm in it, so yeah. Do you like that little plug for Thanks, and people are watching. Nice, Sci-Fi Channel, 9 o'clock.
How's it going?
Good.
I just was wondering if any of the other Sailor Scout voiceovers and you guys ever reunite, just to catch up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we never. We're besties in real life, so we just went to a cottage, which, I don't know if they have cottages, why would they? They're near the ocean, but a cottage where there's a lake, and we hung out last weekend, and we hang out all the time.
Tuxedo Mask, yes, he's a good buddy of ours, very good buddy.
Yeah.
And like I said, Susan's right around the corner from me. But Stephanie Morgenstern, who was Venus, we don't see her that much because she's a busy little girl. I don't know if you've seen Flashpoint or X Company. She's a creator of that and a writer and stuff. So she's pretty busy, man. We should be nicer to her, actually.
I see Emily Claire Barlow all the time. She's a fantastic singer. So she's a jazz singer. She works a lot in Toronto, but she's amazing. She's a friend of mine. So yeah, I see Emily.
I'm not usually going to microphones, so I'm sorry if I'm not loud enough.
No, you're really loud.
I wanted to thank you for coming and let you know that you were the only TV show when I was 8 that I would wake up at 6 in the morning to see.
Yes!
Actually, my question is, how does voice acting differ from back when you were recording Sailor Moon than it does for your current voice acting? How is the process different?
The big difference especially for dubbing, is now they just put it on a computer and they just put the words up there, and as you say the words, like it's maybe all in green, all the words are in green, and then the word that you're supposed to say is in yellow. So you just follow along with the bouncing ball.
It's karaoke. It is. It's talking karaoke. Well, for dubbing, for anime.
And when we did it for Sailor Moon, it was called the Rhythmo Band, and they literally took a piece of film, like a blank piece of film, and someone wrote out every single word, hand wrote on this film every single line. This person did not have good handwriting.
No, it was awful. It was terrible.
And so they would be writing, like, oh, Darian, I love you so much. But that had to fit in with the lip flaps, like that. So it'd be like, oh, Darian, you'd only have this many lip flaps, and it had to fit in there. And they had done it out every single beat. I don't know how they did it. They just sat there writing all this stuff. They must have been A, blind, and B, insane.
Just those two things. Now, and then for something like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, I'm in a room filled with the other actors. It's so much fun. And we voice the characters before they draw them. So yeah, it's super easy. We don't have to, we have so much freedom and there's so much ad-libbing with that show too. So if Sam's sitting there, oh God, I have to think about Sam's voice for a second because I have all these voices in my head. Flint, that didn't happen. No, Flint. And it becomes this thing like, he's not really. And then I'll be adding that. And then he'll have to actually draw my little, no, he didn't just say that. You know, like that kind of, and it's so much easier and
It's
more
so much
freedom
fun.
as an actor. So. Yeah,
That's the fun stuff to do.
it is the fun stuff.
Out of your respective bodies of work, what have been your favorite films or shows that you've worked on or roles that you've had the pleasure of voicing? Aside from Sailor Moon, of course.
I like Brace Face. No one will remember Brace Face, but Brace Face, yeah. See, I did that on purpose. I knew people would know. I was Nina Harper, the bad girl. So that was a really fun show for me because she was really not a nice person. Although she's secret, she kind of was near the end. But yeah, Nina was fun.
I love playing villains more than anything. Villains are the most fun because they're so evil and they love themselves so much and they never win. And they're always so flabbergasted by the fact that they didn't win. So I played Wicked in Cyber Chase and she's just this crazy witch. Well, hacker, look at you. Better still, look at me. And she is just so off the wall crazy and they let me really go crazy on it. So I just have an absolute blast. In fact, I was at a Comic Con one time, and I would go in to do Cyber Chase by myself, and Christopher Lloyd was, he was my love interest. He was Hacker in the show. And we never got to ever work together. He was way far away somewhere else. We never were even, he wasn't even in LA or New York, wherever he was, and I'm doing it at the same time. We were just two ships that passed for the night. But here I am at this Comic Con, and I'm right beside him going, it's Christopher Lloyd. And I finally went over to him and I was like, I have to say hi to you because we've known each other for a very long time but we've never met. And he does one of his Christopher Lloyd. And I said, I'm Lily Ballantyne. I was the voice of Wicked in Cyber Chase. And he went, oh, Wicked. And then somebody gives me this huge hug and I'm like, I'm dying. Oh, it was totally. He was the nicest guy too.
I was standing right there. He didn't say it. Well, he started anyway.
I went, this is Katie, and then I smushed Katie's face with my hand.
I was like,
Hello.
hi.
I've seen your show and it looks so good and I've always wanted to try and watch it but I couldn't because the DVDs were super expensive. So can you please give us a short review for it?
I actually, you wanted me us to do the entire episode? Oh, so perfect.
Short review.
I'm Sailor Moon. Oh, Tuxedo Master Lady again. Oh, I'm getting beaten up. Oh, Fire Night. My meatballs are cooking.
At least just a short review of the series.
What, you want us to send you? What are you saying? What are you? I don't
Like, can you please give a review of, a summary when I say review?
Summary.
Okay, so
I'll tell you this.
they have to save the review.
Mars didn't get Tuxedo Man. She didn't get Terry.
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. I think you're gonna have to go onto the internet and look up the storyline because otherwise these guys are gonna kill you.
Yeah.
It's on Hulu.
And Sailor Moon Crystal's on Crunchyroll.
And Crunchyroll.
There we go.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We're just going to bring you around to do the review.
Hello.
Hi.
My interest in the show came from my son, who suckered my wife into watching the show, and then they told me about it, so I started watching the show too. And for the young lady that was on earlier, it was a good cartoon, good animation, it was a good show, good stories, and that's what suckered me into it.
Nice.
And all this competition with animation and cartoons out there, that show caught my attention.
Yes.
So congratulations on that.
Yes.
I was thinking, as that show was growing in my consciousness, this could be a movie. And I heard someone was talking about making a live-action movie.
They're crazy if they don't. If they don't, we will. They have to. Come on. They're going.
You know what? There are rumors about it. I feel like we've had rumors about this for probably 10 years.
I'm pretty sure they asked me to actually play Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
There was someone out hired to write a script and everything, and I was wondering, why are we not hearing any more about
I
it?
know, I'd like to know the same thing.
Especially with all the superhero stuff going on.
I know,
Sailor Mars would kill it.
And for the young lady that was and for the young lady in front of me, I personally would like to see you both cast yourselves.
Oh.
I'd like to see
Cast our, like our, you want our calls? You want our calls? Usually we save this for the end. All right. Do you want to go first? Sure. Okay. Mars, fire, ignite! Woo! Thank you. Moon, cosmic power!
Hello.
Hello.
Well, I got two questions. One, how did you get into voice acting, and what was your first?
Oh, first one. I went to theater school. And in theater school, they have, you know, you're doing everything. You're on stage, you're doing movement courses, you're doing dance courses. And one of the courses they had was microphone technique. And as soon as I put those headphones on, as soon as I got in front of the microphone, I went, this is what I want to do. I love this. I understand this. I get this. I want to do this. So when I graduated from theater school, I went over to my agent and I said, I think I want to do voice. And they said, oh, okay, yeah, okay. Well, you'd have to get a demo together. And I went, they said, okay, we'll listen to it. I'll wait. They're like, okay, that's good. So what we usually do is, we'll send you out for an audition. We'll probably audition you here right at the agency, and we'll just see how you do. And the very first thing I auditioned for, I got the part. So my agent just went, oh. Yeah, you're gonna work. And I was like, okay. I'll do anything, whatever you want. And so I was really lucky. I got really, really lucky. And the first part I got was a butter commercial. Yeah, it was a butter commercial. I was sort of like this sort of granola head type. I like butter best on a mountaintop. And I was sort of like, it was a fantastic commercial. They're still talking about it in Canada, I'm sure.
I feel like they're not. I feel like probably not. So I do on-camera and voiceover stuff, mostly voiceover stuff. But when I was in my early 20s, I was dating a real tuxedo mess. So Reno Romano was the first Darien, and he was my boyfriend. And he had just booked it, and they were still looking for Sailor Mars. And he said, you are Sailor Mars, so you should probably audition for this. And it was voiceover, and I was like, no, Reno, I'm gonna be a big star, so, just stop it. But then I did audition for it, and then I got it. So Sailor Mars was my very first voiceover series, and that sort of got the ball rolling. So yeah.
And then my second question is, have you ever been on another show doing another voice and you accidentally do the voice on the other show?
Sometimes they overlap because we've only got one voice to work with, right? But you try to kind of make it as separate as you can. I was doing a show called Yin Yang Yo, and I was all female villains in this, and one of the villains was called Smoke. It was Smoke and her brother Mirrors, and she was kind of a Sailor Moon almost knockoff in a way. I mean, she had a ponytail, she didn't have the meatballs, but she was very anime looking, and it was clear what they wanted, right? And so I just went in that day, and I never knew what they were going to ask me to do, and they said, okay, this is what Smoke is, and da-da-da-da-da. So I went in a totally opposite direction. At first I was like, do I just do Sailor Moon? I went, no. So I did her, just tiny, I can't even do her now. I will be your forever friend, or I shall rip your head off. And she just go crazy, right? So, but do this, and there shall be hell today. And so they loved it, they let me do this, everything. Then afterwards, when the whole show was over, the guy said, the director said, I love Smoke. I just thought she was so great. I said, yeah, it was hard because I didn't want to do Sailor Moon. He went, Sailor Moon. That's kind of why I got into this. I loved Sailor Moon so much. Can you do an impersonation of Sailor Moon? I said, well, I actually was Sailor Moon. What do you mean? And I said, well, I was the voice of Sailor Moon. He's like, why didn't you do Sailor Moon for Smoke? Because that's why he had made this character. I was like, sorry, I didn't want to do the same. Sorry. Yeah. Wouldn't give it to him.
I think, the thing is, it's, knock on wood, that it's been really super lucky for me that I have a lot of different shows, but they don't really overlap with the voices. The closest that I've ever come to having two of the same voice would be Alex from Totally Spies and Kayla from I'm on Inspector Gadget. So she's sort of Penny's best friend, and it does get there because she's a little bit of the comedic timing, and I can't even help it. It just goes to silly, and then I think, oh, that sounds a bit like Alex. But it's never at the same time, and normally when we walk in, it's just like this weird, your memory goes into, no, I know what I'm here for, I know what voice it is, and then they'll give you a reference, so then you really know. And yeah, I don't feel like it ever really overlaps.
Well, the hardest part too is when you're doing numerous characters in the same show, even more so in the same episode. And so they don't, you're talking to yourself. Sort of, there's one character here and you're playing that character, and then there's this character over here and you're playing that character too. And you have to make sure that they sound very different, or else people go, this is a lot like the Flintstones, right?
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're back.
Okay, this is me.
Atta girl.
I may have manipulated my daughter into liking this show just
Good girl.
a little bit.
Good girl. We'll give you your money after the show.
Did the right thing.
As a mom, is there anything that you manipulated your kids into watching so you didn't have to watch the annoying shows?
Right.
That's a really good question. Okay,
I don't know if I was manipulating them as much as
encouraging.
Well, sometimes I make fun of them too. Like, so I would imitate whoever was. So Caillou wasn't really my favorite, and for some reason, every once in a while, I don't know if you guys got Caillou at all.
Terrible.
It just pained me a lot. So I would, so that would come on, and then I would actually imitate, and then it kind of wrecked it for the kids. They were like, God, now we hear you doing Caillou, and it just became kind of. Or sometimes I try to sway them onto my own show. Like I was about to say that. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs will be on. Wyatt loves it, but my 10-year-old would rather watch other things. I'm not going to say it. I'm not even going to throw out any other shows. But they'll be on at the same time, and I can see Jet changing the channel. I'm like, it's a really good episode. That's, what happens with Sam. And I'll do that, and then sometimes I win, sometimes I don't.
I got my kids onto Survivor. Survivor? I think I got with your voice. I mean, great.
Yes.
What is your favorite movie?
Favorite movie?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I feel like you just stole that from me.
No,
That's
it's always my favorite. It's always been. I've watched it 100,000 times.
Are you serious right now?
Favorite movie?
Okay, I'm gonna say Rocky. I would have said that. I love Rocky. I could watch Rocky. I love Raiders. Who doesn't love Raiders? My brother is a storyboard artist. He does a lot of big films. He did Suicide Squad. He was a storyboard artist, and conception art. He's an amazing artist, and he got to meet Harrison Ford. But it was his wife. They were at some party, for some rap party for something he had worked on with Harrison Ford. And his wife is talk. My brother's like, because he's like the biggest Star Wars fan on the planet. He's like, oh my God, Harrison Ford. He's looking over at Sarah, who's just like, blah, blah, blah. I have 3 kids. I'll tell you all about them. Of course, Harrison Ford is like being really nice and charming because he is. Probably talking about me because I'm sure he loves me.
He's a big fan of
He hasn't met me. Anyways, my brother finally comes over and she goes, oh, you haven't met my husband. This is my husband, Rob. And he goes, and then he walks away. And Rob's like, he gave me that cool Harrison Ford. He avoided you, buddy. Anyways, that's it. Rocky. You should watch Rocky.
Do you know what my favorite movie is?
Wait. No, I don't.
Hang on. Moana.
Yeah.
I pulled that right out of there.
It's a good one.
We've got just a couple minutes left, so we'll get these last 2 questions here.
So I know you talked earlier about how there's some of the episodes with a lack of context when you're reading the scripts and doing your lines for the various episodes, but there seems to be a thread of similarity between what voice actresses like yourself do and actresses in series or in movies where they use a lot of heavy CGI. So basically talking about green screen or tentpole in midair. Given that similarity, how do you think, if you were doing live action let's say a live action Sailor Moon movie versus a TV show, do you think A, it would be more or less difficult from an acting perspective, and B, would you think it would be more or less fun?
I can't stand doing on camera. I hate it. On camera doesn't love me and I don't love it. I'm so critical of myself every time I do something on camera. I'm like, you've got the biggest, most boggly eyes on the planet. So I get way too much in my own head for that. So I just find it so much easier doing voice for sure. Although I would love to do video games and stuff like that. We don't have a lot of it in Canada yet.
Yeah. I would totally do it, and now that I have the context, and now that I know everything, now that I know everything. Now that I know everything.
Now that I know everything.
That'll go on the internet, just that clip. Now that I know everything.
Hemingway?
Oh, stop it. We haven't played it anyway. It's a long story. We played a game, and I don't know Hemingway. I was playing with a bunch of mature people. It's a long story. Anyway, to get back to what you were saying, now that I know the context, because I do the on-camera stuff, I don't love it either, but I still do it because I'm competitive and I need to do it. But I know that I would do a really good job of it if I were way younger, because I do have context. When I was Sailor Mars, I had no idea what was happening. I was just, crazy screaming, saving the world, throwing flame snipers and all that, But now I have context to it, so yeah, I'd give it a shot. Thanks, I don't even know if I answered your question.
Thank you guys for being here. I love you guys so much. How often do you find yourself falling into characters' voices just off and on? And does it aggravate you or does it make you whatever?
It depends on what you're doing. When I was doing Sailor Moon, at the end of each of the show, or whenever we do a scene, anytime Sailor Moon's eyes moved, or she did anything, like this type of thing, they made me do a noise for it. They didn't know if they were going to need it or not, but every single time she would look over, she'd go, oh, oh, oh. So I did that with everything. I would be sitting there watching the show, doing it, and I'd be like, oh, 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 oh. It makes you a crazy person. So I would get home at dinner time, we'd be sitting around our dinner table, and one of my kids would say, I don't like broccoli, and I go, oh. And they would be like, Mama's gone nuts. Pretty sure. Yeah, so that kind of thing creeps into your life for sure. And if you're doing a voice a lot, you do tend to bring it in. I would also walk around warming myself up, going, if I could do that, if I could go, then I knew that I could get the voice out, because I was always losing my voice. And my little 1-year-old would walk around behind me going, I'd say, are you making fun of me? And she'd say, rotten little kid.
And I find every once in a while, because now Jet kind of owns the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, he'll tell his friends, and this is how I normally sound when I'm talking. But I was walking down the hall and one of his buddies said, hey, are you Jet's mom? And I went, yeah. And I knew what he was going to say. So then all of a sudden I hear, then he said, are you on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? And I automatically go into Sam, oh yeah, I was on Cloudy with a Chance, I play Sam Sparks. But I can do that so that there is recognition so Jet doesn't look like a liar. You see, I have his back. No, really, it is me. So then I start to talk so it's, so that's how.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys, this concludes our time. Round of applause.
Thanks for coming. Now, before we go, we're downstairs signing autographs. I know there are questions you haven't asked yet. Come by, ask, and say hi, because it's always nice meeting all you guys, okay?
Thanks for coming. Next